Alright, so this is just a quick video to discuss the rank depth or width that you should be engaging and using your units as or with. Let's start off with light infantry. What you'd do in theory to maximize firepower as much as possible would be 2 ranks deep, as units fired in the Napoleonic Wars. Even if the French did engage in 3 ranks deep in a line formation, only the first 2 ranks would fire. Same with the British, who would line up 2 ranks deep and obviously would fire 2 ranks deep. In NTW3, however, units fire more than just 2 ranks deep. They fire 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 5 ranks deep, 6, 7. It really depends how lucky you get, how flat the terrain is, so on and so forth. Random models throughout the unit fire on an enemy unit. So in theory, if you would be engaging these units, and you're 2 ranks deep, you would expect to do and receive the same amount of damage. In NTW3, however, you receive more damage than you do, because these units have as much frontage as your unit does, both of them combined, and they still fire some ranks deeper. So that's something to keep in mind. As to why with light infantry, and usually it's the minimum you should engage with any unit, the minimum, and to maximize firepower as much as possible, is 3 ranks deep. To regular line infantry, such as the French 34th, the Savoie-Carignan, however they're called, I like to go 4-5 ranks deep, because it minimizes frontage, and we'll get to that, why frontage is so important when we get to militia. So this is how I usually like to use line infantry. It lets me stack plenty of them up, because yes, these are good stats, but they obviously don't compare to light infantry. So line infantry, you want to stack, instead of just going like this with 1 unit, which especially with a larger one like the 34th, they're gonna probably be facing 2 if not 3 units at the same time, which obviously, as mentioned before, that means they receive more damage than they do. So you want to go a little thick. Usually this much frontage is usually a good thing to do. Some units will be 4 ranks deep, others 5, 6, who knows. But this is usually good. For militia now, this is what I usually like to do. I like to do a box formation. Now, why is this so important? Why is frontage so important? Minimizing frontage is very important, because unlike the myth that the deeper your units are, they get more morale, they get a morale boost, it's a myth with a foundation. Because you have less of a frontage towards your enemy, these shitty units, even though they have only 3 morale, they'll receive less damage from the enemy, and in turn, they'll receive less morale damage, which is why usually people say that in column you get more morale. You don't get more morale, you just receive less morale damage due to having less of a frontage, and less of a frontage equals less of the enemy bullets hitting your units, if that makes sense. So this is how I like to engage with militia. They're shitty units, they're just there to hold. Obviously you're not gonna do anything with 14 accuracy. And how I like to do engagements with them is at medium or close range, especially if you're an aggressive minded player. Yes, this unit with good accuracy, 22 accuracy, good reload, the closer you are, the more damage you're gonna do to you. But guess what? These are just militia. They're like 70 gold, 80 gold a pop. So yes, you'll receive way more damage the closer you get, but if you can hold your morale, the closer you get, the more damage you do. You're wasting the enemy's time, you're wasting enemy bullets, you're wasting enemy men, because the more time they spend fighting your militia, and the more men they spend fighting your militia, the more you're worth, the more you're getting worth out of these units. So to recap, with light infantry, you should be engaging in 3 ranks deep if you'd like to maximize firepower. You could get away with 4, but I usually prefer to go 3 ranks deep. With line infantry, depending on the size, if it's an elite line infantry, I like going three ranks deep. But if it's just regular line infantry, go three, four, if not five. Honestly, you could get away with five. And with militia, make sure to use this sort of square. So you want them as deep as possible, obviously not overly so, to reduce as much frontage to make sure the units last as long as possible, to do as much damage as possible to the enemy, to waste more of their time, waste more of their men, and make it so your bad units get more worth out of them. That's about it.